So good. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Good. Good. It's been a long day, and so it's going to be interesting now that we screened it. We had a slight issue with Beauty Mark and got it, but we got that fixed, and I shot some things out there because they're going to run to 11:59. Don't be a sucker. We had a quick glitch. We had something mixed up, but we got that taken care of, and then we released a post on Instagram to let them know that you guys are now streaming. So we just did that with your film poster. So they got the film poster and let you know that you're now streaming. Good. Well, let's go around the room and introduce to everybody and your film. Let us know where you're from. A lot of good questions today because we had such a variety of films, and this was also was our music video block as well. And we're going to talk about that. You guys should have just did a short film. I mean, you just should have did a short film because really, you guys were still telling stories in the music video, if you guys saw that. But let's go around the room, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what's the name of your project.
Hello, my name is AJ Riggins. I'm a filmmaker here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my film project was Don't Be a Sucker.
Hey guys, I'm C-Tree in Virginia Beach area. My music video was Emotional Terrorist.
Richard.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, hey, my name is Frank Brown. I'm the CEO of Communities in Schools of Atlanta, and I am with Beating the Odds.
My name is Richard, and my project, I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and my project was C'est l'époque, This is the Time in French.
My name is Jonathan Rowan. I'm from LA, and my project's Beauty Mark.
Brandon.
Hey, I'm Brandon. I'm from the DMV area, and I'm the creator of Bad Web Series.
Good. So let's go ahead and go to, and we're kind of going to go in the order of the way you were screened, which is interesting. And we'll do that. And we'll go with Beating the Odds. And I know that you were not on the production side because you were the person that was being interviewed there. But talk about that experience. Here you are doing a documentary. You're telling it. You got these cameras. Talk about being on the other side of the camera.
I think I just want to shout out Jessica and Jason Young. I mean, Jessica Young Film Productions is amazing. She's from Charlotte. And they just, it felt like family. I think when you're telling a story, you got to have trust between your subject and the story, the person who's trying to tell a story, the director and the producer. So I think my staff, my team just really made me comfortable where I could be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think as Black men, we try not to let our guards down because there's so many things coming at us. But I think I was able to really convey my true emotions, which made the film probably more genuine.
Yeah.
And for me, we never did anything like that. We're a nonprofit. We deal with almost 30,000 kids in dropout prevention work. So to have this, and more importantly, we feature 2 kids we're supporting in college to show people that my story is not unique. We're paving the way for thousands of other kids through education, through whatever training, through the military, through our entrepreneurial experience to become full participants in the American dream. And I think that message is relevant today. I'm sorry, I live by Hartsfield.
Good.
And that message is more relevant to kids.
Yeah, it is. And so when we talk about films, and then we did the Q&A because here's a center around his organization is a nonprofit to deal with dropouts and things like that. So that documentary is talking about his life story and how he overcame many obstacles to become who he is. And so we had a panel discussion after that, which was really good. And I think our first who's in the room, Emotional Terrorist. I believe that was the screened at 5:30 p.m. And I'm trying to remember all the videos. Give us the backstory behind Emotional Terrorist.
Sure. Emotional Terrorist is a music video. It was written by Amy. I thought she was going to be in here. She's the executive producer and the writer of the record.
Okay.
It was based off of some real issues that were happening for people that we knew, which made it kind of unique. Amy kind of brought the project to me with the lyrics and was looking for an artist, and I knew the perfect artist for it. and that was Billy, who actually played the male in it. And it kind of went from there, honestly. It was just based off, unfortunately, based off real events that happened to a woman. If you saw the video, we kind of switched the roles. We made it, the abuse was towards a man as opposed to the woman.
Yeah. Right, interesting. And so that title is kind of interesting. The emotional terrorist, right? And so, there's no women with Jackie's here, but that's interesting. If we get to argument with our better half, say, you're just an emotional terrorist. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Play on that. Any other music videos in here? Anyone else did a music video? Is that the only one? Oh, no, Richard. So Richard, talk about yours, because when I saw yours, you know what? It took me right to New Orleans. You know what I mean? I had a whole New Orleans feel to it, even though you shot that in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah, I shot it in Utrecht, a somewhat smaller city in the Netherlands.
Okay.
It's interesting because we shot it at a festival which is called Small New Orleans. So somehow it's in there. But
okay.
No, actually, it was quite interesting because it's an art project. I got invited as an artist in residence for a contemporary art platform here in Nijmegen, a smaller city. And I just wanted to do something weird, to be honest. And I had like these conversations with my barber about the fact that so much of African heritage has been looted and stowed away in museum depots, and that we're kind of being force-fed with street names, with all of these colonial so-called heroes and all of these statues, and especially here in the Netherlands. And that made of a very interesting discussion about diasporic life. And so in the video, we were trying to kind of transform the barbershop as a space of social action. It's also like a lot of documentation and photography around this project. And so the total was really interesting. And we premiered it actually last year in Accra. So we took it to West Africa first, to Ghana. And so it's great that it's now in this film festival in Charlotte. So yeah, it's a beautiful
going around
thing.
the world. It's going around the world.
Around the world, yeah, definitely.
Next, let's talk about Don't Be a Sucker. That was the next one that screened, which is interesting. We had a lot of folks. L, who is here, he really likes that. So when we have our meetings and we are talking about the different films in different categories, certain people really speak out about what they really like. And L, who's on our team and one of the judges, he really liked that. L, did you have any particular questions for Don't Be a Sucker?
I make sure my mic is on. Yeah, for Don't Be a Sucker, I really think that was a real good film. I go with the color grading and stuff like that. But what was the reason that you ended it like the way you did, instead of bringing it on to something else?
Sure. Yeah, I guess the ending for me was really, so I originally wrote this as structurally a normal 3-act structure film that was beginning, middle, and end. And the more I started to develop it, and I pitched it actually in film school, I brought on my co-writer, and we started to really like play with the concept of it turning into a feature. So the idea behind it was to really establish the short as a prequel to the world that would become the feature film of Don't Be a Sucker, is which I also developed as my graduate thesis project. So that was the I guess the ambiguous ending that maybe you felt with the film.
Cool. How big was your production team?
My budget?
Production team?
Yeah.
My production team. Yeah. So we were like 17. So not too big. We kept everything really small and tight. We shot over a 3-day period, all overnight. So 12 hours from 7 to 7. So definitely tough. And it created some problems, obviously, because we're working overnight. People are tired naturally. And unfortunately for our production team, we actually ran into some weather issues. So wow. Everything that we had blocked for ended up changing whenever we got the set, but it actually turned out for the better. So.
Cool. One more question. What camera was the film shot on?
Yeah, so I really lucked up with my DP. We shot on the Alexa Classic.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then, so the fact that my DP actually had the camera, we were actually able to invest in another lens. So as a filmmaker, I'm really into like a tight shot. So close-ups, which is the latter half of the film primarily was. So it allowed me to go out and get a 65 millimeter, which wasn't initially in the budget. I was only shooting with a 21 and a 40 millimeter.
Okay. All right. Cool. Great film, man. Great film.
Yeah. And it's interesting for Emotional Terrorists as well. It's like it went through your lighting scheme, took me through the emotions of the music video. You know what I mean? It changed based upon the emotions that I was receiving. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, let me first say, AJ, I thought your film was absolutely beautiful. That was really, really well shot.
Yeah,
it was just gorgeous, really, truly.
Yeah.
I wish I had my DP on here because he is a true DP. Wow. I mean, he'll talk about colors, and I'll try to talk about a scene, and he'll go on for hours about why the red needs to be a different shade of red. I mean, he's one of those guys, and so the input really was on his behalf, really. Our colorist actually was, goodness, he was out, I forgot where he was, in another country. I can't remember where he is though. But at any rate, he came up with a lot of ideas for us as well. And he did the same thing, just really in terms of emotion and how to bring color into emotion. Which is, I'm glad you said that because that was the goal to do.
Oh, okay, right, good. Yeah. Interesting. Good.
Yeah.
So Richard, let's go to you. Richard with Beauty Mark. Now, Richard, you submitted multiple pieces for the festival. And it's so interesting because every piece you submitted had a totally different look. Do you know what I mean? You unmute yourself. I'm talking to, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan.
I'm talking to Jonathan. Jonathan, every piece that you submitted had a totally different feel, totally different look. I mean, it was completely different. And was that did you have a different crew for every film, different DP, or a different ideal about how you wanted those projects to look?
A little bit of all of that. So like Beauty Mark, I had a different DP for that project. But yeah, it just depends on the mood and the tone of the film. Is based like how I get the look that I want to design for the movie. Right. And all the color schemes.
Yeah, and Beauty Mark was it for me. It depends on because you did that one piece I really liked too, but our time wouldn't allow it. It was, I think you did a music video. Did you do a music video?
Yeah, I did a music video called "Running." It was a horror.
Yeah, Running. Yeah, it was some of the things about that was interesting, but this looked like this kind of set up apart from everything else. I thought. When I looked at Beauty Mark, it really was a quality piece. The story was well written. The cinematography, it was really good and solid. And what was different about that project than your other ones? Do you think?
Beauty Mark is my junior thesis.
Oh, is it?
And then I have another thesis that just finished right now. But yeah, it was just having to raise the production value, up, because my last two films at LMU, they are your top pieces that you take out into the industry with you. So we get to use anything that we want finally, because there's some kind of restrictions early in the program of what cameras we can use and how much crew and just what we can have to work with. So with the junior thesis and the main thesis, like we get an unlimited amount of resources to just do our thing.
Wow. I see. And so they probably limit you because they don't want someone who has a lot of resources to come here and make everybody else look kind of bad. You know what I mean? We're in school, and here you got somebody got this full crew for a thesis project. You know what I mean? And you're operating on the school resources. So that's interesting. Well, good. Thought that was a very, very good story. Brandon, with your story, Bad Web Series. And tell me again, talk to me about the name of Bad Web Series and how did you come up with the whole idea about this, that name and this particular web series?
Yeah, so Bad Web Series is like your scary movie, I'm going to get you sucker of the web series world. We parody web series intentionally based on, what's out there. Plus, before I did Bad Web Series, I also did a show called DC Yuppies, and that was more of a comedy drama. So I took the lessons that I learned from doing that series, and I kind of threw some of that stuff into bad web series, like just trying to be funny, trying to make sure that as creators, we know what happens behind the scenes, what happens on screen, what happens when we're editing, and we think we have the right shot, and then we go back and we're like, oh, I didn't want it to come out like this. But what am I going to do? I already have the shot. We're done now. So how are we going to work that into the episode? Right. So I did all that stuff on purpose and say, as creatives, let's make a show for creatives that the audience can enjoy as well.
Right. That's interesting because you have your mother in there as well, and family and friends on the block. Probably everybody's exactly there. And that's interesting to take a camera and not be so serious, right? Whatever we get is what we're going to use.
Right.
Imagine that. Wouldn't that be an awesome world where, and you let the actors act it out for the most part, because if you're going to do that, ad-lib to whatever the script is, but be themselves in the same time. So that's interesting concept. So talk about where you guys are. So you submitted your film here, but let's talk about your previous work. What have you done before this submission here at the Charlotte Black Film Festival? Let's go with you, Richard.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this was actually my first film or something. I'm normally a painter and I make drawings and stuff. But for this particular residency, I wanted to do something different. So we did a photo series, performance, and a film. So to be honest, I don't know what's next. And there was nothing before this, no film. Yeah.
So is that your artwork in the music video?
Yeah, it's all my artwork. And I do a lot of storytelling as well. So basically, to prepare the dancers and stuff, I wrote like these entire stories about these characters, gave it to them. And on the day of the shooting, we kind of did a spontaneous manifestation at this festival, just to be in our characters and see what happened. And we had a camera lady follow us around. And
I see.
Yeah.
Cool. And talk about that. You mentioned something about the barbershop you used that as a place of, what was the word you used?
Oh, social action or social, engagement. And
gotcha.
Just because, it has that form, it has that function on an informal level, but we wanted to create something really big that came out of that. So this entire demonstration or protest, it was a protest actually, because around the corner from that place, there's a museum, university museum, which has, a couple of controversial objects. So we wanted to make some sort of manifestation and kind of wake people up on that idea of cultural capital that's being held. So yeah, it wasn't interesting.
And I said that because that's what's happening in the Netherlands, but here in the States, that's where our social haven is for especially for Black men. The barbershop is where we find that source of camaraderie, where we're able to share and don't have the wife over our shoulder or the girlfriend or whoever special person in our lives, but we really share. So that's kind of how we and there's been shows that's been created around the barbershop talk because of the powerful conversations that happen there, which is really, really good. Well, talk about you with your video you did. You shot that video where? Emotional Terrorist. Where did you shoot that video?
It was shot in a house in Virginia Beach.
You mentioned that, Virginia Beach. So when I first see your name and I see that, I'm thinking, I thought you was a foreign. I thought it was something that was shot outside of the States.
Oh, with my name? Yeah. Yeah, my last name's not up here. It's Pigues, and it's actually Portuguese. But yeah, I'm from DC actually.
Okay, gotcha. From Portuguese. Gotcha. And so talk about that. I know that we talked earlier about your documentary, and you said you guys are doing a documentary number 2. So share that with me about the documentary we talked about earlier today. And you said you guys doing a second part 2 to the documentary.
Not me.
No, Mr. Brown.
Brown.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Beating the Odds. This is our first film, and we're thinking about doing another version with everything that's going on in Atlanta. We're thinking of something along the lines of the tales of two cities, because there are two different realities here in Atlanta. If you're Black, if you make over $200,000 a year, like a lot of Black people here do make, you're fine. But Atlanta's also the income inequality capital of the country. And so for us, this film actually won the Best Short Documentary at the International Black Film Festival this past October in Nashville. It got into Atlanta Bronze Lens Film Festival, and it also got into the Hidden Gems Film Festival in Statesville. So we're just pleased that we got into 4 Film Festival and actually won an award.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about the story, and it's about the mission, and it's about what we do. And I'm just thankful that I was a vehicle that Jessica and Jason thought was worthy of telling a bigger story about overcoming adversity.
Good. So in that part 2, that's going to be, you say, the tales of 2 stories, because I do have a documentary I'm shooting here that's similar to that, because I think in most urban communities there's 2 sides or 3. You know.
Yeah. So we want to the next thing is going to Beating Odds School is going to probably be from the perspective of a site coordinator and a family, so you can see, not just hear what we through my what I described, but actually see the life of a site coordinator. During the film, our site coordinator really articulated. He said it's a lifestyle. We work with our kids 12 months a year, 7 days a week, with the ultimate goal of getting them to graduate from college, to graduate from technical school, to go to the military or start their own business. A high school diploma is not enough for us.
Okay.
And our goal is to be the most impactful nonprofit in the world.
Yeah. So let's talk. I want to talk to AJ and Jonathan. Both of you guys. I don't know if anybody else did a senior project, or was this a junior project? Well, you guys, kind of took this very, very serious by the fact that you went to school to do film. I mean, so this is, your parents, I don't know what the response from your parents were. You're going to school to do what? You know what I mean? And so where you guys see yourself from this point? I mean, you kind of, I think, Jonathan, AJ, you just graduated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Jonathan, what, you're done, or were you in schooling?
I just graduated as well in May.
Okay, good. So where do you guys see yourself now that you have to make money in this industry, and where do you see the opportunities? Where do they exist for you? Jonathan.
Well, COVID-19 has not been great right now. So, I guess Friday we were allowed to start filming again in LA. So I've been in that house. So it's just like trying to stay in touch with different studios and stuff I've been in contact with, and trying to make sure something is set up when they're ready to get started again. Also, I do freelance work too as well for shorts and post-production services. I have my own indie production company called Superstar Productions. So yeah, I have that going on. I'm just writing a lot of pieces, writing new shorts, writing episodic, and writing features.
Yeah. So tell me this, because even though you go to school, and we say we're filmmakers, all of us have a specialty. I mean, if I could work in the area, my gift and my passion leads to, whether it's writing, whether it's cinematography, whether it's editing, whether it's sound mixing. What do you say your specialty is, Jonathan?
I pride myself being a writer, director, producer. Okay. So I love directing. That's my first love. And then love writing. And then, just being in the creative is where I live in that space.
Gotcha. Okay. AJ, how about you?
Yeah, so my path was a little different to film school, because I actually graduated in undergrad from UNC Charlotte with the marketing degree. So after undergrad, I went out to California for a few years and was working within corporate marketing in a project management function. But I would say that my love for storytelling, and that's kind of how I identify as a storyteller who, film met me halfway and found me. It was always a medium that provided escapism for me. And I think that in 2017, I made my first film, really guerrilla style. I was living down in LA, picked up a Sony A7S and just went out and shot something. And but it really like introduced me to something that I was like, oh, okay, like there's something here, and decided to kind of just uproot my life and come back to the South, which I admire so much. So like to answer your question about like what's next, graduating from film school is already like a big, like, what are you doing? Right. But also like graduating as part of the class of Corona presents a whole new set of challenges. But for me, it doesn't really change much, to be honest, because like, I think like this time has allowed me to truly identify my voice and the stories that I want to tell. And a lot of that does surround with like the Black Southern experience. So I really do see myself rooted here in Charlotte, between Charlotte and Atlanta, and really just trying to get something off the ground here. So if that requires me just, working a job to keep my family afloat, then I'm all for it.
Do you have a specialty? Like, are you a writer, director? What is your love?
That's the world I live in: writing, directing, producing. I will say that the producing aspect kind of comes as a transferable skill from my past. Working as a project manager, so that has really like helped me a lot of when we're talking about fundraising, when we're talking about all of those elements that goes into producing a film. But the creative in me, where I can actually become create a lot of things that's in my head is really within the writing and directing space.
Gotcha. Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, so I actually didn't go to school for this at all. I went in my undergrad, I graduated with psychology. My master's was in human resources. And then I started working at a desk job and was like, this ain't it. So, I wanted to be creative a little bit more. And I wrote short stories. From there, people, would tell me that they could see my characters coming to life if I planned on ever doing anything with them. So the plan is eventually to turn some of those short stories into short films. But I jumped out again with DC Yuppies, which was my first web series. I did 2 seasons of that. And it was, like I said, more of a comedy drama, more serious. I wanted to show a different side of DC, that we're not all here just doing politics and talking law. So, I kind of showed like something that I thought could be on like CW, BET, like the game, when the game, the first 3 seasons when it was good. Right. But I tried to do something like that. And then from there, I took those lessons from DC Yuppies and then other web series and created Bad web series to kind of show off more of the comedic side. Right. So I think like my specialty, I would say, is more writing. I kind of fell into directing and producing because I was the director for DC Yuppies, but for Bad web series, it's kind of like I'm like a one-man show. Like I'm co-writing it, directing it, taught myself how to edit on Final Cut using YouTube. So it's like everything that I'm doing with that is it's teaching me to get better. So, I mean, my next project, maybe I will have somebody in those different roles, but I appreciate the experience I'm getting from Bad web series because it's putting me in those different areas and I'm learning, as I go.
Yeah. And filmmaking is no joke. I mean, we're talking about filmmaking is not for the light at heart, because sometimes, because you plan it this way, it's not going to happen 100% of the way you planned it to go. You know what I mean? And so you have to be flexible. You have to be able to adjust to any kind of condition. And still make something work. And so, that's interesting with the whole DC piece, which is very funny. Talk to me about, I think I get everybody with that. Talk to me about, did I talk to you about, emotional terrorism, and you're more of a commercial. Is it Citrus?
C-Tree.
Do I think you're a commercial? You do commercial work mainly, or talk about the bulk of your work?
The bulk of my work is, mostly commercial work now. I cut my teeth in music videos. I think I probably directed, the last time I counted, I was at over 50 music videos that I've directed. You see the gray. I'm real old right here. But yeah, the bulk of my stuff is mostly commercial work. It's kind of what pays the bills. I try my hardest to get myself into, other projects. I try to write, but I love to write. But I just don't have the discipline, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But I love to direct, and that is absolutely my thing. I started off as an editor for a Discovery Channel. That's where I cut my teeth. Then jumped into the music video world and tried every aspect. You talk about the different positions. I tried art department. I tried gripping, and I hate electric. I can't be a gaffer because I'm terrified of electricity. I tried it all, but then I ended up being a director, and that's what I love.
Good. So do you guys edit? Who edits? Raise your hand. If you do any editing, raise your hand. Any editing? Oh wow, interesting. I thought you guys in film school, I thought you do everything from A to Z.
Yeah, I mean, I can edit, but I don't prefer it.
No one does. What's your editing software of choice?
Premiere for me.
Premiere
for me.
Premiere.
Hey, Brandon.
Final Cut.
So let me ask you a question. I just got turned on to DaVinci. Anybody took a look at DaVinci?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what we typically color at.
Yeah.
You can edit in it now too.
Yeah, have a full scale editing. Yeah. It's a learning curve with it. It's not as just as Final Cut and Premiere. You kind of know one, you kind of would know the other one.
Yeah.
DaVinci has a whole new interface that looks very interesting. So talk to me about this. Let me ask you guys this. It's kind of a rapid round question. If I was to give you $100,000 today, and you had to write a film, what would that film be? I'm giving you $100,000 to produce a film, to write a film. Elle, I have you in this comment. Elle, what film would you write? You unmute yourself.
I think I'll go with a horror movie.
You do a horror movie, okay.
Yeah, they don't have too many. They don't make them like they used to, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and
right.
Stuff like that. I think I'll go with that.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Brown? If you had $100,000, what kind of movie? This can't be about you. Now, you can't be the star, but what kind of movie would you write? Unmute yourself.
I would write something about the people we serve. I would want to cover a single mom who's trying to make ends meet and raise a child the right way without no help, right. Or that site coordinator who's making $40,000 who answers that call from pregnant student at 2 a.m, or somebody had just gotten killed at 5 a.m. and they're calling. I would do something that really reflects on the everyday life of an Atlantean from both sides.
Interesting. How about you, Richard?
Well, there's a lot you can do with that, but I think I would, speaking from a Dutch context, there's hardly any Black love stories. So I think I would go for, in movies. Yeah. So I would go for a film about that. Yeah.
What percentage of Blacks are in your community? I mean, is it 20? What percentage of Blacks are there?
Oh, that's hard to say. That's hard to tell. I would guess like 10 to 15%.
Okay.
But that's hard to tell, and especially in the creative industry, there's not that much representation. So I think that some more love. We could do with some more more Black love.
And why do you think that is? Is that something that's taboo? I mean, because we think of Black love, that's kind of a commonplace here. But is that kind of? But one time it wasn't. We didn't want to see that Black love. So that's interesting that it's still like that there.
Well, I think there's a huge demand for it within the community, but I don't think that translates well to what distributors and like the bigger industry kind of facilitates. Right. So there are a lot of filmmakers that are kind of doing these like experimental and independent stuff around the theme, but we could use some more. We could use some more of it. So.
Okay, Jonathan, $100,000. What movie you getting ready to make?
I would do a feature about the Black male experience. I feel like there's not a lot of diversity in terms of our stories and how we're viewed in modern media. Like we could Google ourselves, like to find images or whatever, and there's not a lot of things to choose from besides what stereotypes society has racially set for us. So I think it's important to just get more Black stories about Black men and our plights out there.
And so how would you turn that? So just about Black men, or what would be the premise of a story about a Black man? Because now we all want to know what that is. Just thinking offhand, from what angle would you write?
I would want to do something like for Color Boys, where it's just like maybe 7 Black male characters, and we follow them interweaving out each other's storylines.
Okay.
And it's just going about different traumas that are going on in their lives and how they come together and overcome these traumas together and build community with each other, which is an issue that we have in our own community. Right.
Okay. How about you, AJ? $100,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to co-sign with my man Richard. I'm gonna make a Black love story as well, and I'm gonna shoot it on 16.
So you're going back. Black love. What would the Black love story be about? I mean, Black love. I mean, what angle? How would you come with the Black love story? That's different than what we've seen.
Sure. Yeah, I think like really for me, like I've kind of like sold myself on the setting being, here in the South, and it's something that I personally really haven't seen in Black love stories. And we, I think like the 90s for us was really the golden age of like Black stories in general from all genres. And that's really when like those Love Jones, Poetic Justice type films came out. So I think it's due time for another one of those type films. I know like Will Packard did like the Photograph, this past year.
Yeah.
But, something that is really, set within the South. I think that growing up here, specifically growing up, being Black in the South and being in love in the South has a lot of, complexity around it. And I'm really fascinated by that. And then again, like I want to shoot something on 16, so I think like that would be the right story to do so.
Oh wow. So why do you want to shoot something on the 16?
Well, it's something. I mean, the nostalgic feeling of what film does, you know, and you know, obviously 35 is a different beast, but
right.
There's something that's 16 in its relation to like the independent film world that I'm just fascinated by. I mean, especially like early in your career as you're starting to like build your aesthetic, really, you know, develop the type of films that you will make.
Right.
You know, I think for all of us here, like just being able to have that that film, if it's your first feature or not, on film is something, you know, to be said. So.
Good. Citro, how about you? Being that you're usually hired to do a project, and you say you're probably like me, we don't have time to write. We're so busy doing things. Is you know, you mentioned discipline, and it's the time to do that. But if you had $100,000, what project would you bring to life?
It would be a drama. I don't know exactly which one, but I can tell you it would be shot in Bora Bora. Absolutely.
Woo!
It may blow my budget, but
it would. $100,000 not gonna get it.
That means I might have to do a short in Bora Bora. But if I can get to Bora Bora.
And so why Bora Bora? What is there?
It's my favorite. I'm just so attracted to the pictures. I've never been.
Right.
There's only like a couple of films that was been shot there. It's just beautiful, and I know it's vain, but I just want to be there. So why not be there and make a movie?
Right. So now that's interesting, because if you're Bora Bora and that's a beautiful place, you would think that, and this is me being creative, that would be the ideal place for a love story. But you would have to twist it because it's so beautiful. So I'm going to probably go back with Elle. That'd be probably a great way to do a horror story. Right, to flip the script because you think it's beautiful and relaxing. So kind of drama and horror that's there as well. It's Bora Bora for a reason, and you put that name into something historical about this spirit or whoever, you know, so it'd be interesting.
It could be a treasure movie too, though.
It could, you know. So that'd be interesting. Now, Brandon, I saved you for last for a reason, because I was very intentional, because what you've already done. Now I'm giving you $100,000 to make a movie. What movie are you making?
I want to make something. I still want to stay in my lane. I think where I'm strongest right now is comedy, or like that comedy drama crossover. Yeah. But I want to make something. I want to go back to like early 2000s, early 90s, where comedy was comedy. Like if you said something, you just said it, and that's what happened. I think now we're so politically correct. But I like, one of my favorite shows out is Family Guy, and I want to do like a black feature where we just say whatever comes out, and you just take it as it is. It's funny.
That's funny already, right? Because, and it's really interesting because, you know, as creatives, you know, and I think in movies, you know, thank God we can get away with certain things that you can't get away with if you're a broadcaster or if you're a celebrity here in the country. You really can't get away with it. But in movies, we have a little more room to talk about conflicts and how we really feel, right? And you know, and so it's interesting that. So talk about COVID-19. Here we are. And I mentioned this into another conversation. How has this hindered, or has it helped your creativity, and how productive have you been during this time? I was on with a group of folks, artists, and I was on the panel, and they asked me the same question, and I said, you know, my creativity is bipolar, you know, in this place, because I can't get out. And one day it's like want to do some things. Another day it's all over the place. When normally I know when it's going to kick in, when I can write, when I can do X, Y, Z. But during this pandemic, it's really been bipolar. So talk to me about you guys' experience during this time. Have you been able to create? Has it moved you forward in other aspects? Something new come up, or has it been one of those things that has really held you back? You know, you have not been able to find your juice in this. Richard, let's go with you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, actually, what it did for me was that it, whenever certain trouble like this emerges, I just go stay in my studio, my little studio, and just start writing and drawing things up, and just trying to be still and wait till it's all over. And in the meantime, take my time to kind of finish some ideas that I have and stuff. So actually, it hasn't been too bad creatively. But you know, this entire conflict and everything that's happening around it, it's pretty interesting as well as a creative, I think, to see how, you know, how new kind of real life storylines kind of unveil, and then what you can do with it. Yeah, so it's been quite good actually.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. From the Netherlands, I'm sure you guys have seen the protest and the unrest that's happening in the States.
Yeah.
How have that country responded? Have you seen anything change? Has there been protests there as well?
Daily. Yeah. I've been organizing too, actually. So that's why you haven't been hearing much from me in the preparation to this, because I was very busy with that.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so there's actually a lot going on. A lot of protests in solidarity with the movements in the US. And there's also slowly, there are Dutch movements emerging as well, because we have stories of similar violence, not necessarily only police related, but also what happens at the border. People in the Mediterranean whose boats are being sinked when they try to reach the European shores.
Oh, wow.
So we take that in consideration of the protest that we're organizing. So it's like a different side of the system. And yeah, there's also a movement coming up. Well, it's in full effect actually, to do something against the monuments of the colonists that are in every big city.
Wow.
Black artists are speaking up against white institutions that have been kind of falling behind on representation and integration of you know, our themes in their institutions. So it's an interesting time here, and there's a lot of it's impactful.
Yeah, I think we can all say it's amazing how, after so many things have happened, how this one particular incident was the thing that lit the fire. I mean, we've seen other traumatic situations. We've seen other injustices happen. We've seen it in many cases worse than this. We had a Black man dragged on a truck. So we've seen so many different things. But so it's interesting how this is unique in this day and time, and it was able to catch a fire, which is interesting. And it could be, you know, I think about the COVID-19, because we were all kind of isolated and we were standing still and not moving. We couldn't overlook it. You know what I mean? And so we were in a standing still place where you had to look at it. You had to see it. There's no way you can get around it. And not more for us, but I think more for those people who don't look like us, because they're really pushing this movement and walking right alongside of us. So I found that the whole episode to be somewhat interesting. Let's go with you, Brandon. Talk about this COVID-19 and what's happening and how it's able to how are you maneuvering it through it?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a common thing for creatives or not, but I've learned that during this time, I'm my biggest obstacle. I think we always, like when we tell people we create, we write, we direct, and I think they're always saying, oh, well, you should be able to, like, think of it as a hobby, when this is something that we're taking, you know, more seriously than that. It's a career. And now that I guess the world has kind of stopped, I think everybody has kind of expected, or maybe they haven't, but I feel like there's this pressure that once this is all over, we should have the next big thing that's going to jumpstart us, either finished or ready to go as soon as it's all over. So I think it kind of puts a little anxiety on you when you start thinking of or looking at it that way. So I've kind of had to, you know, calm down and start looking at, you know, what do I have? What do I want to accomplish? So it's given me a chance to say, yes, we do have there is a lot of downtime, but that doesn't mean every moment has to be filled with whatever. Like you have time. That gives you a better chance to plan. It gives you a better chance to write, to look over stuff that you've written already, to go back and say, did I write this the right way? Is there a better way I can get this out? I've been editing, you know, we started working on season 3 before COVID came. So I had some footage that I can start editing now that I don't have to wait until the rest of the season is finished. So I can go ahead and cut that and start, you know, doing things to it now, so I don't have so much to do in the end. So I think, you know, again, you want to give yourself that space to grow, to to plan and don't worry about, you know, when this is over, like you should be the next big thing out there. I mean, it takes time. And I've learned that because, like I said, this is my second show and I'm not like right out there already, but I'm learning as festivals happen, as projects happen, you know, you get more notoriety, more recognition. And it's not a sprint. It's, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Good. So, Treese.
Piggybacking off what Brandon said, what I did was I told myself I was not going to feel like I had to create something in this downtime. And I said, I'm not going to, I don't need to make anything, produce anything. I'm just going to enjoy myself right now. I can't do anything. So I'm going to try to enjoy myself. I'm going to slow down, first of all. And so creatively, COVID has been fantastic. Financially, not.
Right.
But quite honestly, though, I have been, you know, just running and, you know, just clearing my head, and it's been great. It's been absolutely wonderful, really.
That's good.
And it's funny because I said, you know, I don't like to write, but I am inspired to write more now because I've been thinking so much for the last 3 months.
Wow.
You know? So, you know, I don't, you know, obviously the bad things that came with it exist without a doubt. But there's absolutely some really good things that came from it for me as well.
Yeah, good. How about you, AJ?
Yeah, so honestly, you know, just again, being in my last semester of school and everything just like halted. And Tommy, you know that we met at the Seed and Spark event on campus, and that was like the last week that we were on campus. So immediately I was a little, you know, in my feelings, you know, but I think that I allowed myself to kind of just be present in what that meant. And there was a lot of L's that were taken, like, you know, creatively, just like leading up until like graduation. We were supposed to go out to LA. We had a full week of just like meetings with studio execs and pitches and all of that was, you know, completely halted. But on the flip side of it, I agree with everyone else, like just being able to be present within our own work and take that time to really identify, like, you know, what does this mean for us creatively? And to Brandon's point, like we shouldn't feel that pressure to come out of this, you know, saying, oh, I got the next big thing. If anything, you should come out of it at peace with who you are within your art and your voice. So I would kind of, you know, leave it there and just say that, you know, it's kind of twofold with COVID. I do strongly believe that once we come out of this, creatives, there will be a need for art across the entire spectrum of what art means: music, fashion, you know, film, the whole nine. So
I agree with that. And let me say this to you as well. Since you are going to stay here in the Carolinas, I'm working with the Film Commission and the state legislators because for the return of the tax incentive program. We know we lost it. It was in the second reading right before the COVID happened. So I got my finger on that to make sure it happened. And I'm looking for opportunities to put some people on set. So I'm trying to make this relationship with the powers that be, that when companies come in, that they come in with a goal of having us on set. That's never happened before. That's what I'm pushing. So you know, you're in my pocket. So when that happens, I'll be reaching for you. Let me talk to you about your organization. You know, you have a nonprofit organization, and we're in the middle of this COVID. So how are you guys functioning? And you deal with youth as well with CIS.
Actually, I know this sounds crazy. COVID was a blessing for our organization.
Wow.
In the sense of, I looked at our work as almost like an undervalued stock. And I think what people realize is that, especially our school district partners, that we're indispensable. We had relationships with the poorest of the poor prior to all these things.
Oh, wow.
We're on pace to give out $300,000 in emergency assistance by June 30th. This is a nonprofit that's boxing outside of its weight class. We have a film that's in the Charlotte Black Film Festival, and we participated in the BET Telethon. We were one of 36 organizations across the country to get funds, and we raised over $438,000 off of that BET Telethon.
Wow.
And that is money that we have to give out to the Black community here in Atlanta for all types of need, tuition. So for me, I feel like I'm blessed to be in a position to help.
What about filmmakers? Can any of that money go to filmmakers? I'm sure some guys on this page can use that.
Hey, listen, if it's COVID related, only if it's COVID related.
we can create a COVID project right now, you know.
Right. No, I want to shout out BET because BET really stepped up. I mean, they weren't known to do something like that, and that fund raised $16 million. It's still raising money, and it went to grassroots organizations that are really on the ground doing a lot of good, that don't get the big name and get the hype. And so for me, I want to shout out BET, Janine Lebbert, Archie Dixon, and all those good folks up there at BET, because they really have stepped in and really did some good stuff with the funds that they worked to raise to help communities.
Okay, Jonathan, how about you?
To piggyback off of what everybody's been saying, I mean, financially not so well, but I think the thing that has happened that's been great is that, you know, we've all been given time. Things have slowed down. So like usually people are rushing, everybody's too busy to connect, but now you have time to connect. You can have Zoom meetings, you can connect like how we're connecting now. We're all in different places for the most part, but we're all able to be here together because the things are different right now. So I think that's the positivity of it. And also time to, you know, work on yourself, work on your craft, prep projects for when it, you know, it's time for things to open back up, because, you know, the way things are going now, like productions all stopped like March. So there's this big gap of you know, space and opportunity for people who do have content ready to go that can slide on in there, you know, and make things happen for yourself.
Good. Awesome. And you notice how Jonathan have that nice background with his film poster and all those nice seals behind him. Look, that you know, that's dope. That's the way you do it. Well, hey guys, first of all, let me say this: all of us are Black men on this line, and I just want to encourage you guys as we go through not only COVID-19, the pressure's on us, number one, but then we have this COVID-19 pressure, and then we got what we see on the media and things that's happening to men who look just like us. So I just want to speak power to all of you. Also, find a place where you can release some things, whether that's exercising, being around people that support you. Find an outlet during this time as well. But with that said, hey, I wish you guys most power, and just keep it up. Hope to see you guys the rest of the week, especially at the Vision Awards. So that's Sunday at 7 o'clock. Be dressed up. Brandon, you got to dress up. You can't wear your hoodie, so you got to come dressed up. You know, wear a top or whatever, and we're just gonna have a real good time. So appreciate you guys, appreciate your films, and appreciate you guys being in the Charlotte Black Film Festival.
We appreciate you, sir. We appreciate you, sir.
Tommy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.